Prophet said, raise your children with three qualities. Prophet said, raise your children with three qualities. Love of your Prophet, love of his family, and reading the Quran.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen. Amma ba'd, fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. As-salatu wa salamu alayka ya Rasulallah, as-salatu wa salamu alayka ya Habiballah, as-salatu wa salamu alayka ya Nabiyallah, wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Noorallah. The beloved Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam has stated, anyone who recites 50 times durood upon me every day, I will shake hands with him on the day of judgment. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Dear viewers, welcome to the Silsila Childhood Matters. Again, we are here with another burning issue, with another social issue, and that is bullying. Nowadays, it is fairly common in Western societies, and many children, they have become the victims of bullying. What is bullying? How it is going to be harmful for the children? Why do some certain children, they become bullies, and why some certain children, they get bullied? And then many other issues as well. As you know, we have Dr. Zirak Saab with us. He is a psychiatrist by profession. Moving to the first question. Dr. Saab, what is bullying? How do you define it?
Bullying, obviously, if we talk about it, is a fairly common phenomenon, and children in this day and age, and they are well aware of bullying. However, the parents may not be that well aware of this concept of bullying. If there is no single definition of bullying. There could be all different definitions of bullying, but in general terms, one could say that bullying is an aggressive behavior which continues over a period of time, and there is either real or perceived imbalance of power between the bully and the person who is being bullied, and this behavior gets repeated over a long period of time. So for example, two children may end up having a fight with each other, and if that is the end of the story, you won't call that bullying. But if this behavior, aggressive behavior from one child, continues to be repeated over a period of time towards the other child, then it obviously is defined as bullying. Now, bullying obviously has got a number of different forms in which it actually happens. So, for example, verbal bullying, social bullying, physical bullying. Verbal bullying is when the bully actually either may swear at the other child, they may taunt them, tease them, they may obviously threaten them that they are going to do this and this to them, and so this comes under verbal bullying. Then the other form of bullying is called social bullying, when the bully tries to actually affect the relationships of this child. So for example, he will control other children not to be friends with him or her, and they may try to spread rumors about this individual, that they are like this and like that, so that other individuals or other children do not actually befriend them. So they may, or in other forms, they may try to exclude this child from a particular situation or from a group, and they try to ostracize this child. And the other type of bullying is called physical bullying. This is probably the worst form of bullying as well. This is where there is physical harm inflicted on the person who is bullied. So this may be obviously in terms of beating the child up, or they may be sort of like tripping them. So this may involve hitting, kicking, punching, spitting, or trying to trip the child so that they actually fall over, and also, for example, causing damage to their property. So this is the physical form of bullying. Now clearly, all these forms of bullying are damaging to the child, and we will obviously discuss these further as the silsila proceeds.
As you have said that it is going to damage the child, and now there are going to be different dimensions of this impact. It is going to hurt physically, or it is going to disturb mentally as well. So in nutshell, I want to ask you, what are the impacts of bullying on a child?
Now, clearly, the impact of bullying can be devastating for the child and can be lifelong if obviously something is not done in time. And obviously, it actually leads to the emotional impact is probably the most significant. This child obviously is not going to like coming to the school. He will not have good confidence. He will actually have low self-esteem. He will struggle to make friends with others. He will actually lack social skills. And by doing so, this child will actually be all on his own or her own. And this clearly will actually lead to further problems in their future life. And most of these children who are actually bullied, then they end up developing mental health problems, whether it is depression or other mental health problems later on in life. And many of these patients who actually have mental health problems, if you actually look into their childhood history, they would actually say that they have been bullied at school or other places. Now, the bullying obviously doesn't just happen in school. It can happen for children outside school as well. Now, although this silsila is about children, but bullying is also a problem for grown-ups as well, in their own workplace or other environment, whether at home and so forth. This is basically obviously someone taking unnecessary advantage, and obviously clearly for adults it will take different forms and shapes compared to childhood. So overall the impact can be significant on the mental health of this child, and someone who may have been intelligent or had the potential to perform well in their adulthood, unfortunately because of the bullying they end up developing from mental health problems, not being able to realize their full potential, and rather than actually being independent, they then end up being dependent upon others.
There are two people in this this process of bullying. One is the person who is bullying. Do you think that there are some certain children who bully, and then there are some certain children, they get bullied and they become victim?
Let's talk about the victim first, because that will actually help understand it better. Now, clearly someone who is being bullied, there are certain characteristics. These children may already have low self-esteem. These children may not be able to defend themselves. These children may not be able to stand up against someone who is bullied. These children may not feel strong enough to say no to the demands and so forth. So there are certain characteristics that the children may acquire, which actually either increase the risk of them being bullied, or when the bullying happens, they cannot actually stop it. And basically this involves low self-esteem. They themselves may not have low self-esteem, and also there could be problems at home with their parents as well, and that in itself actually causes them to develop low self-esteem. And eventually obviously they may lack social skills in terms of making friends. So someone who doesn't have many friends, they may be more prone to being bullied. And now when we in the previous episodes discussed about importance of friendship, so this is another characteristic, that if you don't have friends, then you will actually be a big target for these bullies, because no one else is there to actually defend you. So these things are the characteristics of the person who is being bullied. Now the person who is the bully, they themselves actually have some problems in the background, because no one is actually born a bully. Bullying is a learned behavior. So very commonly these children who are actually bullies, in another situation they are probably the victim of bullying themselves in another situation, and they are now simply copying that behavior onto another child who may be weak or may be less powerful or may have all those characteristics that we mentioned previously. The other thing is that these children may have aggressive nature. And the reason they have aggressive nature is because their parents may demonstrate that aggression in the home environment. Now, one other reason is that sometimes these children themselves actually have lots of weaknesses. This weakness may be low self-esteem or low confidence level. And to hide that, to counteract that, they try to show it in an aggressive manner. You may have noted that as an adult, if someone is going to criticize me for my shortcoming, then to hide my own weakness, I will try to attack them by saying, you got this problem, you got that problem. So in children, what they may do is they may show it more physically or verbally or using their social powers to exclude other children so that, other people feel that this individual has got power. When in essence, the actual real problem is they themselves have low self-esteem and they lack self-confidence. So these are some of the factors from the actual person who is a bully, that there are actually problems with that individual as well, and they also need help to sort out these problems so that they don't actually take advantage of other children.
Dr. Saab, there is another aspect of bullying as well. Amongst the siblings, one of them is physically strong and maybe older as well. So now he tries to bully others. So do you think that it also happens in our homes as well?
Now, when it comes to siblings, brothers and sisters, or brothers and brothers, or sisters and sisters, then there is a concept or term that we call as sibling rivalry. Now, if it's two brothers, then there is a sibling rivalry between them. If it's two sisters, there's a sibling rivalry between them. And sibling rivalry can also happen between brother and sister as well. Now, this can sometimes actually lead to mild form of bullying as well. It all depends on the circumstances, how the older sibling is actually being dealt with, how they feel in terms of their relationships and how secure their relationships are, and what is the sort of involvement of parents in this, and how's the environment in the home. Now, if things are wrong, then brothers and sisters, they can also bully the others. And mostly what it happens is that it is the elder sibling who tries to bully the younger sibling, and this can sometimes lead to a lot of damage, psychological damage to the other sibling who's being bullied. And in rare situations, sometimes the younger siblings can also bully the elder sibling as well. It is possible because there is a difference in personality and so forth. Now, the parents really need to keep their eyes open, because what could be happening if they're observing, for example, the eldest child is taking things or toys from the younger child, or if they are having screen time and the elder child goes and takes whatever the device is from them and starts playing themselves, or they become dominating towards them and always telling them what to do this, do that, bring this for me, bring that for me, go and do this, and so forth, then there is a chance that these the elder sibling is bullying the younger sibling, and it for the child who is being bullied, the impact is exactly the same, and they will actually then develop low self-esteem, low self-confidence, lack of social skills, and clearly this will lead to lots of other problems, just like someone being bullied in the school by a stranger.
Now, coming to the parents' role in this, like if parents, they come to know that their child is being bullied, so how can they help him out of this situation?
Now, parents can play a very crucial role in terms of obviously helping their child who is being bullied. Sadly, what happens is when someone is being bullied, they do not come forward. They will try to hide it. They will not have the confidence to talk about it. because child will actually be, scared by the bully, saying that if you tell them, I will actually make it worse for you. And they believe in that. So the child themselves may not actually say it with their own tongue that they are being bullied. However, there will be countless signs that will be apparent to the parents that their child may be being bullied. So what are these signs? For example, if the bullying is happening at school, then they may not actually, they may not be willing to go to school. So the child is always coming up with reasons not to go to school, and they may not be enjoying it. Their sort of like studies are being affected. The teachers may be saying he's not able to concentrate and so forth. Sometimes if the child comes home, if there is a physical element of bullying, then they may end up sort of like bruises on their eyes or bruises on their legs. And the child may try to say, oh, they had a fall down, or accidentally they were hit by this and so forth. But if it is anything like this, that the parents need to take it seriously. And they need to sort of like sit down with the child. Sometimes that the child comes back home with their belongings missing. Someone's taken their pen, or their pocket money has been stolen, and so forth. Or their clothes may be ripped. These are all the signs that are telling them that the child is being bullied. Also, when the child is being bullied, they may explain of physical symptoms like pain in the tummy, which obviously is very difficult for the doctors to sort of like pinpoint what exactly it is, and the doctors may try to investigate this. And this is actually quite commonly happens. The children who are being bullied, they may sort of like complain of feeling sick, they may complain of abdominal pain or what we call as tummy pain, and all sorts of other weird and wonderful physical health symptoms, headache, things that are very difficult to prove either way, that it is there or it is not there. So children will come up with these physical symptoms, and the doctors may not be able to actually tell what exactly is happening. So the parents, these are all telltale signs of, obviously, for the parents that their child may be being bullied. The child may not be eating properly. They've gone off their food. The child may have difficulties sleeping. So parents need to first of all keep their eyes open for all these signs. When they observe these signs, now the next crucial step in this is they actually develop a friendly approach, and they do their detective work with the child and reassure them and try to find out if they are being bullied. Once they find out that they are being bullied, then a lot of support and help can be offered in the Western countries to this individual. And inshallah, very soon, this child will actually come out of bullying. Now, similarly, the person who is the bully, they may also be given the appropriate help so that they do not repeat that negative behavior as well. So parents have a crucial role to play in terms of developing that relationship of trust, in terms of keeping their eyes open for the warning signs. And once they identify these, they actually discuss with their child in the most appropriate way, in a trusting way, and reassuring their child and trying to address it both by themselves in terms of educating their child, and also liaising with the school and the teachers. One other issue that can happen at the moment is that sometimes because of the bullying, the child may actually develop mental health problems. For example, depression. Now, because the child actually tries to keep bullying as a secret, and they are not willing to tell. And generally what happens is, if you go to the family physician, they don't have enough time, sadly, to actually delve into these things. And the children then try to keep it private on top of it as well. And what happens is, the general physician says that the child may be presenting with behavioral difficulties, aggression and so forth themselves. So the general physician may try to refer them to the psychiatrist. Now, this is where the parents may say, well, hang on, what are you suggesting? That my child has gone insane. Now, it is not the reason that, it is not true that the child has gone insane. The parents should try to accept this advice. And because when they actually go to a psychiatrist to have the assessment, The psychiatrist spends almost about an hour with the child, and they've got their communication skills or professional skills, and they try to address all the areas, and then they may find out that the reason behind the depression or reason behind these other symptoms was in fact bullying, and the bullying was the thing that needed addressing, and then everything falls into place.
So these are the advices for the parents. What do you advise? How do you advise the victim as well? Meaning, how a victim can get rid of this situation? What should he do so that he cannot be bullied again in future?
The advice for the victim, the person who is being bullied, is that you don't need to suffer.
Take it.
Bullying is not right. It should not be happening. And the only way for you to get help is by you telling someone. Tell your teacher, tell your parents, tell someone who you trust. It is only by telling someone that you will actually get the help. And hope, inshallah, it will get you out of the situation. The longer you keep it a secret, the greater the damage it will do, the bullying. So my advice to the person who is being bullied is that if, discuss it with someone. If you find it difficult to verbally tell someone, then write it down on a piece of paper and give it to whoever you actually trust. And when they tell someone or give it in writing, that individual should actually take it seriously and not sort of discount it, that no, it is not happening.
Then coming to the bully boy, what is your advice for him? How can he come out of this negative mindset?
Now, clearly, our audience is Muslim children.
Okay.
Now, being a Muslim, obviously we've got clear guidelines from the beautiful teachings of the Holy Quran and from the beautiful teachings of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Good manners is something that is given extreme importance in our teachings of Islam. And for all of our actions and behaviors, we may be held accountable on the Day of Judgment. And what happens is that if we end up being aggressive and we try to violate someone else's rights, and the chances are that this will actually become our habit. And then in our adult life, we will actually be what we call as cruel to other people. We may do zulm to other people. Then on the Day of Judgment, we will actually be in much worse situation. So we need to actually do something. Those who are bullies, they are bullies. They are abusing others. These children know that this is not right, but they need to stop it. The longer they keep on doing it, then the greater the chances are that they will find it difficult to get rid of it. And they can use the beautiful teachings of Islam to actually reflect on their actions, and they can actually report themselves to their either parents or their teachers, saying that, look, I've got a problem. Because sometimes they may have anger management issues, and anger management is another field where children can be helped, and all those reasons that actually lead them to become angry, they can be addressed, and both the bully and his parents, if needed, may be given the right support. And inshallah, with the help of this, it will actually make a change in their life as well, for the better.
Doctor, bullying, it devastates the mental framework of someone, and some people, they get terrified. Some people they receive a sort of shock in form of bullying. So can bullying lead towards suicide as well?
There are countless stories where children have actually ended up committing suicide, and usually or sometimes these children would actually leave a note. And in these notes, they would have written that they were being bullied, and they couldn't actually, cope with the situation. They couldn't cope with this situation. And the bullies actually feel helpless, and they feel hopeless. Now, when these two are combined together, feeling of helplessness, that no one can help them, and feeling of hopelessness, that in the future They don't see the future as being bright. They think of the future as becoming more and more painful. And sometimes this may be associated with feeling guilty, that it is my fault why I'm being bullied, and it is something that I have done for which I'm being punished. So when helplessness and hopelessness and the feelings of guilty come in, this is when the children actually feel very bleak, very negative, and these thoughts of suicide come into their mind. There may be telltale signs of this. And then eventually they think about actually committing suicide. And many children have actually successfully committed suicide. Secondary to being bullied is a life that is lost, which probably shouldn't have been lost if the right steps were taken. And there is a huge amount of work that even in the Western societies needs to be done by the schools, by the education system, and also the awareness needs to be raised within the parents as well, so that we don't end up wasting these precious lives.
The viewers of Madani Channel, it brings our silsila to an end. Well, bullying is really a very dangerous situation, and especially when Dr. Saab was answering the last question, and he said that yes, bullying can lead towards suicide. Being a parent, I think it is an alarming situation if we feel that our children are being bullied and continuously being bullied. So we have to be very careful. If we find our children in this type of situation, we try to make use of all available resources to get them out of that situation. And we have to be very vigilant and careful in this issue. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to be practicing Muslim. Keep watching Madani Channel. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad.
Prophet said, raise your children with three qualities. Prophet said, raise your children with three qualities. Love of your Prophet, love of his family, and reading the Quran.